The bodies were dried and stacked layer upon layer, hidden in their own pigsty. Shen Weishi actually said it was to lighten the burden on society. What happened? Lai Zongping's home is well known in the village because it is famously haunted. Many villagers have seen it at night on the wall of Lai Zongping's house. A woman floated by, her face pale and her eyes glowing red. The head was tilted back at a strange angle. At first, everyone thought it was Lai Zongping's wife, Shi Zhengxiang. But how could Shi Zhengxiang, who has been paralyzed in bed since childhood, possibly climb up such a high wall? Moreover, foul smells often emanated from Lai Zongping's home. Lai Zongping simply explained that his family's pigbin was not good and pigs often died for no apparent reason. I found someone to dig a new pigbin for just 5 yuan. The person digging the pig pen is Song Rentu, who has been working day and night at Lai Zongping's house for 3 days now. Today I finally finished digging the pigbin, and I thought I could take the money and enjoy a good meal. But he never expected that this pigbin was actually prepared for him. Just as Song Rentu was happily checking out and leaving, he suddenly felt something trip his foot. Looking down, it turned out to be the greedy and shameless Shi Zhengxiang from this family. She lay on the ground, tightly hugging Song Ren's legs, constantly shouting at her speaker. Just as Song Rentu's attention was drawn away by her, the short Lai Zongping struck Song Ren on the back of the head with a hammer. Lai Zongping's action was not enough to kill Song Ren on the spot. He retaliated by hitting Song Ren's head more than 10 times before stopping. After Song Rentu died, Lai Zongping stripped him of all his clothes, then neatly placed into the freshly dug pig's den. Looking at his masterpiece, Lai Zongping felt an inexplicable excitement in his heart, because he was getting closer to his goal. As long as I kill 103 people, I can be reborn. What Lai Zongping didn't expect was that this time he had failed. A few days later, Song Rentu's relatives found out who he last saw. Lai Zongping was taken to the police station. Claiming that Lai Zongping killed Song Rentu, the police looked at Lai Zongping's slender frame. The timid gaze simply couldn't believe he could kill. The family of Song Rentu spoke convincingly, and to appease them, sent police officers to investigate Lai Zongping's home. This trip uncovered a shocking major case. As soon as the police officer stepped into the house, he smelled a damp, foul odor. Suddenly, the seasoned old officer became alert, so he quietly climbed over the wall and sneaked into Lai Zongping's house. First, I checked the yard and found nothing. Then the old police officer planned to go inside and take a look. As soon as he opened the door, he was hit by a strong, damp stench. The dark little room had no light at all. Even the walls were a dark, inky black. I don't know what that thing is on the ground. Sticky and gooey underfoot. Just when the old police officer didn't know where to start, a silvery voice came from behind him. It is Lai Zongping's wife, Shi Zhengxiang. She squatted on that bed emitting a foul odor, speaking nonsense line by line. The old policeman looked at the woman as if she had gone mad. Didn't say much more to her, but she noticed the gaze of Shi Zhengxiang, occasionally drifting towards the top of the bed. They keep saying they are watching me. This immediately aroused the suspicion of the police officer. Decided to go up and take a look. This sight nearly scared her soul away. Only 2 naked men were seen on the grid. I don't know how long it has been left. It's already started to rot. The skin of the 2 corpses is stuck together, no longer distinguishing between mud and loam. The wetness continues to seep down, dripping drop by drop onto the bed where Shi Zhengxiang lay. Shi Zhengxiang on the bed doesn't care about these. Still rambling on about nonsense. This group of people isn't wearing clothes. They are really shameless. Every day I walk around the yard. They can't get out. The old police officer heard Shi Zhengxiang's nonsense. Lai Ma immediately felt that something was wrong. "I'm afraid there are more than just these two bodies at Lai Zhongping's house." So I hurried back to the police station. Later, the police found 3 pigs in Lai Zhongping's pigpen. A total of over 40 bodies were discovered. They were all stripped of their clothes. Layer upon layer, like goods stacked up, the horses were neatly arranged. These bodies have been stacked for too long, causing the skin to stick together. During the later interrogation, Lai Zhongping just said that the house is too small. This arrangement makes full use of the space and is very convenient. They also said this is to lighten the burden on society. In truth, it is oneself who wishes to express gratitude. All right, this story concludes here. Like and follow us. See you next time. Song Ran too is a taxi driver. That night, he encountered a female passenger who was hailing a ride. The other party was wearing a very short skirt, with a curvaceous figure and dressed very alluringly. At a glance, it's clear they just came out of a nightclub. Song Ran believed his romantic encounter had finally arrived. He immediately stopped the car in front of the girl. The girl's figure is incredibly hot. Seeing the Song people left him utterly bewildered. After the girl got in the car, she started chatting amiably with Song Ren. He also asked if the Song people get tired driving every day. Song Ren too usually wouldn't be cared for by such a beautiful woman. I hurriedly replied to her, it's okay, just sitting often. The legs will always hurt." When the girl heard Song Ren to say this, unexpectedly, he came over to grind her thigh root. Honest Song people had never seen such a spectacle. Suddenly, her face turned red. I hurriedly asked her what she wanted to do. The girl said, "Don't be afraid, big brother. My name is Jin Lion, and my home is just ahead. I just want to give you a massage. Let me make you comfortable. How about you come home and let me try my techniques on you, little sister?" Song Ren's head was slightly dazed from Jin Lion's teasing, but she couldn't help but think about the recent disappearances of many taxi drivers. For a moment I was actually a bit scared. Jin Lion saw that the Song people were not on the right path. Lai Ma immediately lost her earlier tenderness. I want to get off halfway. Song Ren's head no longer looked at Jin Lion with affection. The little hand that used to massage my thigh is gone. I also feel empty. So he quickly agreed to go home with Jin Lion. After all, such extraordinary people are rare in this world. But once he left, the Song man never returned to Jin Lion's home. Once again I discovered she was. Song Ren's head has already turned into a corpse beside the park. She has multiple knife wounds on her body. Died a tragic death. The police investigated for several days with no progress, until Lai Zhongping ran into the police station covered in blood. This case has made a groundbreaking breakthrough. Lai Zhongping claimed, while driving my private car near the airport, encountering a young blonde woman hitchhiking, the woman said it was too late to get a taxi. Lai Zhongping wanted to give her a ride home. After returning home, I will give Lai Zhongping some kickbacks. Lai Zhongping noticed that the woman's appearance was quite good. Her outfit is also quite spicy. So the bonus for making the call can't just depend on you. Little did he know that the woman actually took the initiative to come closer. Start teasing Lai Zhongping. That technique is exactly the same as this year. Lai Zhongping was driving, while being teased by the woman. After sending her home, the two people hurried towards the rental house. Lai Zhongping, filled with joy, never expected that. After entering the rental apartment, there were actually 5 or 6 burly men inside. Looking at her with ill intentions, Lai Zhongping sensed that something was wrong. I'm afraid I'll have to suffer tonight," quickly turned around to run, but the door behind was also blocked by three big men. Lai Zhongping realized he could no longer escape. He also appointed people to deal with corrupt officials. "Brothers, take it easy." Lai Zhongping was quickly knocked to the ground, unable to resist. These people are extremely vicious. Every morning they strike at the vital points of others. They just want to rob and kill. After a while, those people saw Lai Zhongping lying on the ground without moving. I thought he was dead. They took his wallet and car keys. The boss also instructed his subordinates: "Sell the car first, then find a random place. Lai Zhongping has been dealt with. But who knows that Lai Zhongping has 180 tricks up his sleeve, pretending to be dead." Then, taking advantage of their distraction while they were dividing the loot, quietly crawled to the door, opened it, and ran out. By the time that group of people reacted, Lai Zhongping had already run out to the street. Asking passers-by for help, the police listened to Lai Zhongping's confession, quickly organized the police force, control the corrupt officials. A total of 16 people were captured, including 10 men and 6 women. Their division of labor is allowed. The woman seems to have personal motives. The man committed robbery and murder. The last 16 people were sentenced to death for killing multiple individuals. This case is also referred to by the driver as the six-plot woman case. The man brought his fiancée to the pigpen. The woman joyfully prepared to play poker in the pigsty. What exactly happened in the pigpen? Lai Zhongping, who lives in Henan province: "Recently there has been a joyful event. I am going to marry Jin Lion from the neighboring village." And according to Jin Lion, she has never been in a relationship. Still a yellow flower, the young lady. Lai Zhongping was extremely satisfied with all of this. As the wedding date approaches, Jin Lion also followed the local customs, checked into Lai Zhongping's house 3 days in advance. The next day, Jin Lion couldn't help but wear a sexy swimsuit, come to find Lai Zhongping to secretly learn swimming lessons. During the learning process, Lai Zhongping was very excited, but the next day he noticed something was wrong. Jin Lion enjoyed herself more than ever last night. The welcome was warmer than that of the little sister at the village massage parlor. Didn't she say she has never been in a relationship? Does Jin Lion only talk about money and not feelings? Lai Zhongping angrily questioned Jin Lion. What is going on here? Qi Jinlian, however, was completely indifferent as she spoke to Lai Zhongping. Why do you care so much? Aren't you the one I enjoy the most? Spent so much money on our own home. In the end, I married such a deceitful person. Lai Zhongping in a fit of anger. He unexpectedly brought Jin Lion to the pigpen outside the village. He stripped her of her clothes again. Let Jin Lion stay here with my family's pigs. He took the clothes and went home. It was not until the wedding day that Jin Lion was brought back. Jin Lion returned without being angry, still proudly said to Lai Zhongping, "Pigs are stronger than you." Lai Zhongping was completely infuriated by Jin Lion. Lai Zhongping, who was blinded by anger, picked up the red veil beside her, in their own wedding house, in the wardrobe nearby, then returned to the wedding venue. Pretend that nothing ever happened. The wedding between myself and Jin Lion continued. Not long after, everyone noticed that the bride was missing. Lai Zhongping pretended to call Jin Lion, gather everyone to search, even cried on the spot in sadness, just when everyone thought Jin Lion was faking her marriage. Or when she ran off with that pretty boy, Lai Zhongping revealed a proud smile. When everyone departed that night, Lai Zhongping took out the hidden golden lotus from the wardrobe, carried back to the old pigsty. He believes Jin Lion is not pure. not worthy of wearing this bridal gown. Only a chef girl is worthy of herself. So he tore off Jin Lion's clothes again. Then seal the pigpen all around with plastic. Put Jin Lian together with the pig from her home. After everything was set up, Lai Zhongping returned home with a sense of satisfaction. Slept beautifully for a night. The next day, pretending to be serious, they went to the police station to report, claiming that his wife from the White Kingdom has gone missing. On the wedding day, Jin Lion has disappeared. After the police took on this case, began visiting the villagers. But the villagers said they did not see Jin Lian leave the village. This raised the police's suspicions. Jin Lian may have already been murdered. Finally, the police found it in the abandoned pigpen on the back mountain, found the lifeless Jin Lian completely naked. After the police examination, it was confirmed that Jin Lian was strangled to death by someone. The body was thrown here. The police found a brand new padlock at the scene. I confirmed again at the village grocery store. Recently, only Lai Zhongping has made a purchase. Lai Zhongping was arrested as a major suspect. Cleverness can sometimes lead to one's own downfall. A plan that one thinks is flawless, but was easily cracked by the police. In the end, Lai Zhongping suffered because of his own foolishness. Sentenced to death, a beautiful woman seduces a man and played poker with him. Then the man was killed. What on earth is going on? Once upon a time, there was a young man named Lai Zhongping. Every day I do nothing but tease cats and dogs, although he is a stubborn child. But on ordinary days, they often play tricks, doing good deeds. On this day, Lai Zhongping woke up early. From afar, I saw a figure standing on the bridge, graceful and charming. A family member with a graceful figure. Lai Zhongping only looked at his back. I just feel like they are an extraordinary family member. So he hurriedly grabbed the birdcage and rushed over. He walked around to the front of the woman and looked. Indeed, is the beauty I long to see. The woman carried a large bag and several smaller ones. It seems like they are in a hurry. Lai Zhongping hurriedly struck up a friendly conversation. The woman said she was being chased by villains and had nowhere to hide. I hope Lai Zhongping can save her life. If I can escape this disaster, willing to offer myself. Lai Zhongping listened. I can't believe such a good opportunity has come to my doorstep. So he quickly pulled the woman back to his home. Only after asking thoroughly did I find out. It turns out this woman was sold by her family to make some money. Every day it's either beating or scolding. I can't endure this kind of life anymore. Just took the chance to escape while no one was watching. After the woman moved in, Lai Zhongping checks on her daily, asking about her well-being. Occasionally, I also buy some small gifts. Please her. A few days later, the two actually slept together. Ever since being with this woman, Lai Zhongping's health was deteriorating day by day. That day he went out to buy some supplements, make up for the emptiness of these days. I happened to encounter a situation. The Taoist held on to Lai Zhongping. He has a darkened forehead. It seems we've attracted something unclean. Lai Zhongping heard this. Isn't this one of those money scamming tricks? Next, it will tell how he was bewitched by a female ghost. To help him exorcise the evil spirits and dispel the cold. So he gave the Taoist a good scolding. Then I angrily went home. After returning home, Lai Zhongping increasingly felt that something was off. The woman who brought herself home. Every day I look perfectly made up. Not only that, I still feel incredibly unmatched. Every time I sleep with her, everyone feels physically exhausted. Could it be that I've encountered a female ghost that frightens the soul? So Lai Zhongping took advantage of the darkness, silently sneaking to the woman's residence. She listened to the strong winds outside the window for half the day, but the room was very quiet. She poked a hole in the window paper with her finger, peeking quietly into the room. Seeing this made her blood run cold. It turns out that the beauty I sleep with every day, now it has become a fierce ghost with red hair turned away. This vengeful spirit is suffering. Lying flat on the table is a human skin, carefully applying makeup with a brush. After half a day of painting, the vengeful spirit wears human skin. Pulling it taut again, she became the beautiful woman she was on ordinary days. Lai Zhongping looked at these, thinking about meeting with this ugly monster every day. How could I dare to stay longer? Quickly scrambled out of the yard. I rushed to find the Taoist I met during the day, but the Taoist said, "I have more important things to attend to." She was only given a handheld feather duster. Let her take it back. A gust of wind brushed against the eaves. Lai Zhongping carried Fu Chen home. Hiding in the house, I no longer dared to seek that beautiful woman. Just wanted to hold on for a few days, wait for the Taoist to return to save my life. Who would have thought that the vengeful spirit would come knocking, standing outside the door, questioning, "You heartless man, why not come to find the Wu family?" Still calling her your little sweetheart, hot. At this moment, the fierce ghost had lost its usual beauty. Scoffing, he spoke sweet nothings. He wanted to push the door into the Wu family to harm Lai Zhongping, but was injured by the deist's whisk, burned his human skin. The fierce ghost realized it could no longer pretend. Simply peel off the human skin. Maine was on the Fu Chen. He took the opportunity to break down the door. Arriving in front of Lai Zhongping, "You heartless man, I will dig out your heart to use as a wine basin." Having said that, he stretched out his claws. A curved blade pierced Lai Zhongping's heart and left. Soon after the vengeful spirit left, the Taoist hurried back. However, Lai Zhongping is already dead. He is powerless to turn back time. I must first find that evil spirit, to prevent him from harming others again. The Taoist arrived at the place where the vengeful spirit had lived. Used a secret method from a side story. It is said that one can be completely captivated. Following the scent, I chased after it. At this moment, the vengeful spirit had donned a new guise. Becoming an octogenarian woman, the deist priest saw the old woman. It is clear that she has transformed into a vengeful spirit. Removing the waist accessory reveals a single character. Evil spirits are not a match for Taoist priests. Bursting out the door, but was struck in the heart by the Taoist at first sight. Then a glimmer appeared. The head of the vengeful spirit separated from its body. The vengeful spirit has been dealt with. The Taoist turned back and told Lai Zhongping's wife, "Go to meet an old beggar. Maybe we can still save Lai Zhongping." Lai Zhongping's wife hurriedly went out to the street. Finally, under a tree, I found the old beggar who smelled terrible. The old beggar listened to the story behind it. He picked his nose and said with a grin, "Lai Zhongping is infatuated with the four. Deservedly, this is the consequence. To save him, it depends on whether Lai Zhongping's wife is sincere." He forcefully spat out a mouthful of phlegm. "Make Lai Zhongping's wife eat it. They say that as long as you swallow this old phlegm, Lai Zhongping is saved. For her husband, Lai Zhongping's wife could only endure her disgust. Lick this old phlegm clean. Who knows after eating?" The old beggar unexpectedly laughed heartily and walked away. Lai Zhongping's wife realized she had been played. It can't be helped. I could only return home and weep while holding my husband's corpse. She cried sorrowfully, and that old phlegm. Suddenly feeling nauseous, I let out a snort while picking my nose. spat into Lai Zongping's wound. Who knows that miraculous things have happened? In Lai Zongping's wound, it unexpectedly grew another heart. Jen was beating gently. Lai Zongping actually came back to life. A man plays poker with a female internet celebrity. Jinghong deceives the beautiful woman to return home and send her family. Who would have thought the beautiful woman was actually a strong man? 38-year-old Song Ren too, working at a high-end hair salon, often interacting with various wealthy influencers. So, the anxious Song Ren began to entertain crooked thoughts about marriage. He pretended to be the salon owner. He deceived quite a few small influencers into dating him. There is also the purpose of returning home to pay respects to the ancestors, trying to lure Jin Lion to go home and marry him. Little did Jin Lion know that after returning home with him, it turns out that Song Ren is just a complete broke. It can be said that the house was empty. Even the window paper is torn. Jin Lion started to curse directly. Who knows that Song Rentu was scolded to the point of fury? The two people started fighting right on the spot. At that moment, Song Rentu finally understood. Jin Lion, who has been by my side day and night, is surprisingly strong. He is a man. Song Ren was momentarily enraged. He actually strangled Jin Lion to death. After strangling it, he threw the body into the Yellow River, thinking that Jin Lian would be swept away by the current. This way, one can cover up their wrongdoings without anyone noticing. Who knows? A bizarre event occurred a few days later that shocked the locals. On this day, the young Lai Zhongping went fishing by the river. After squatting for a while, I didn't catch a single fish, because on the shore not far from him, there are a few pieces of clothing and shoes laid out. It seems there are children swimming in the river nearby. You can look around. There was no sign of anyone in the river. Lai Zhongping didn't manage it. Walking further away, planning to continue fishing, just at that moment, he heard several calls. It sounds like someone is shouting for help. Lai Zhongping, who was feeling a bit drowsy. Suddenly I was startled. He searched up and down the river for half a day, but not even a splash of water was seen. Lai Zhongping looked at the clothes on the shore. My heart suddenly sank. He knew something was probably wrong. So they hurried back to the village. The village's body retrieval team quickly arrived. 2 corpse retrieval teams became small boats. In this body of water with a fishing rod, collecting corpses everywhere. After a while, I finally hooked something heavy in the shallow water. That thing is heavy as lead. 2 adults couldn't pull it. No one knows what that really is. The water of the Yellow River is very murky. When you go down, the view is very long. Only the hook can firmly hold the corpse. But those corpses are often swollen and decayed. This hook usually brings down the corpse. Only by pulling hard can you salvage what's deep down. It is quite cruel. The body was quickly retrieved. That child's belly is really big. It is obviously beyond saving. And there is a mark on the ankle. Deep scratches. It felt as if someone had firmly grabbed my foot, which ultimately led to his drowning. Everyone present instantly thought of the scapegoat. Although the heart is troubled, still had to grit my teeth and keep fishing for it. 2 salvage team members cast their lines at the same spot again. Soon something was hooked. This time the item is purer. Like a big rock, the 2 team members exerted all their strength. Just let him slowly rise to the surface. The hook was tightly gripping the child's belly. The child's neck seemed to be entwined with something. As the body slowly rises, that thing finally revealed itself. Underneath the boy's corpse, there was actually another female corpse hanging there. The arm of this female corpse, tightly gripping the boy's neck. Her eyes widened in surprise. It seems like one cannot die with eyes closed. Two team members put in a lot of effort. The two bodies have just been pulled up, the other hand of the female corpse still maintaining the posture of grabbing something. Those present couldn't help but remember the first boy's body. There was a scratch right on his ankle. Clearly, this female corpse is the culprit responsible for the deaths of the two children. Later, it was confirmed through police investigation. This female corpse was just a few days ago Jin Ling, who was sent to be killed. Speaking of which, Zongping took a deep breath and said, "That's all for the stories from my youth. Now tell me, the bodies of my two unfortunate teammates, where exactly is it? A woman has 4 husbands in a year, each met with an unexpected and tragic death. Is it a decline in morality? Is there another hidden reason? Jin Ling, who lives in Henan province, married 3 times in 1 year, each person's husband. The day after everyone had rolled in bed with Jin Ling, will suddenly die." This made the villagers' elders gossip endlessly. Some say that Jin Lingaming is too prosperous, born to be customer service. To put it bluntly, Jin Ling has poison within her body. Any man who touches her will die instantly. However, Jin Ling was exceptionally handsome. There are always those who aren't afraid of death coming to propose. Zongping from the neighboring village. He's just someone unafraid of death, introduced by no one, gave the Jinling family 10,000 yuan. They held a grand wedding, although Jinling had been married 3 times before. However, Zongping did not care at all. He just wants to be free the next day. You can continue to be happy with the beautiful Jin Ling. After the wedding ended, Zongping couldn't wait any longer. "I played cards with Jin Ling all night." What surprised everyone was that Zongping surprisingly had no issues the next day. This made the men in the village extremely envious. But on the morning of the 4th day after the wedding, an accident still happened. Jin Ling, who should have been sound asleep in bed, knocked on the door of Zongping's parents' room after just waking up, but found Zongping foaming at the mouth, has already lost consciousness. Zongping's parents rushed into the new house and took a look. "My son is no longer awake. The ambulance hasn't turned around." Zongping took his last breath. Now the rumors about Jin Ling hiding poison inside are spreading. It's considered completely confirmed. Zongping's mother believes her son is out of luck, but Zongping's father, looking at Jin Ling's beautiful face, but other thoughts began to arise. Jin Ling before me seems to be grieving for her husband's death, heartbroken. But if you look closely, she hasn't shed a single tear. Moreover, Zongping has always been in good health. With a single breath, it's easy to break the rhythm of the world. Just 4 days after marrying Jin Ling, died with dark circles under his eyes and frothing at the mouth. What exactly happened between the two people at night? Zongping's father grew increasingly worried. So I secretly called the police. After the police arrived, conducted a harsh inspection and interrogation of Jin Ling. Knowing that Zongping was here before, I once had a bowl of oatmeal made by Jin Ling. Still in Jin Ling's dowry, I found a bottle of rat poison. When Jin Ling saw the poison mouse wall, knowing that one's crime has already begun halfway, so I took the initiative to introduce myself. The arduous journey of the Black Widow, Jin Ling's first husband, Song Yun Tu. He is the best qualified among Jin Ling's many suitors. After dating for a few years, naturally they got married. He dang Jin Ling's mother, Jai Liang. After receiving several thousand yuan as a betrothal gift, everything has changed. Jai Liang felt that my own daughter is getting married. Then you can receive so much betrothal gift. If you get married a few more times, you would have made a fortune yourself, regretful of their youth. If only I could have a few more daughters. Now has long become a wealthy tycoon. Thus Jai Buyang began to have ulterior motives, starting to be brainwashed by Jin Ling. Jin Ling and Song Yun got married. Jai Buyang bought rat poison. Remind Jin Ling to do it on the second day of her wedding. Put the medicine in the food for Song Yun to eat. Although Jin Ling was scared of the outcome, I can imagine having more money in the future. Still made up my mind. Poison was fed to Song Yun too. Sure enough, it was late at night. The medicine takes effect. Song Yun too struggled for several hours. Finally, the morning fell completely silent. In this way, Jin Ling teamed up with her mother, poisoned her first husband. Later, Jin Ling used the same method to acquire two more sums of money. Each husband never lives beyond 2 days. Will be poisoned to death by the golden spirit. Lai Zongping is truly outstanding. Jin Ling tasted the sweetness and couldn't let go. Jin Ling thought about her future. You can have more husbands without any need. An endless wealth. Still, I heartlessly poisoned Lai Zongping. But this time, Jin Ling didn't have such good luck. In the end, Jin Ling reconciled with her mother, was sentenced to death by law. The boy saw ghosts with his own eyes. I unexpectedly saw a 1,000-year-old koan following behind someone. This old residential building is unusual. Inside live all sorts of strange and supernatural beings. A child who can see ghosts. There was a man behind me reciting ancient poetry. Lai Zongping grew up in this building. At first, he was just an ordinary child. Ever since that fever, after a serious illness, Lai Zongping could then be in this building, seeing all kinds of strange creatures, especially in the dark corners. You can always see a pair of glasses without white in the eyes. Staring at him intently, there is a strange man living in this building. He wore a stern expression. His gaze was extremely sinister, always leaving at dusk, just returned in the early morning. No one knows what he actually went to do. On this day, Lai Zongping followed his grandmother home. I happened to run into this man as he was leaving. A face-to-face encounter. Lai Zongping realized that this man has done too many immoral things. I'm afraid there are only a few days left to live. Sure enough, looking back, a corpse was unexpectedly following the man. The ghost dressed in Qing Dynasty official robes. The ghost was very tall. His body was emaciated and pale. Rolling her eyes, she closely followed behind him. She kept blowing cold air towards the man with her mouth wide open. Lai Zongping timidly said, "He carried a strange person on his back." But Lai Zongping's grandmother said he was confused because of a fever. There was no one behind that man at all. Then he hurriedly took his grandson back home. This is 5 or 6 days later. Lai Zongping never saw him again. This strange man. It was as if he had disappeared from that moment on. Until the residents in the apartment building, I always smell a foul odor. At first, I thought someone had forgotten to take out the trash. But later, the smell is growing stronger. The person who is being smoked cannot bear it. Lai Zongping's grandmother just brought someone. Smelling the fragrance, I came to the door. There are many small advertisements posted at the entrance of this household. It seems the door hasn't been opened for several days. I don't know if it's because the family pet has died. Uncle Song from the neighborhood committee knocked on the door, but no one responded. The more he thought about it, the more something felt off. So they quickly called the police. After the police arrived, as soon as I smell this scent, I know something's wrong. So he quickly pried open the door of this house. At the moment the door opened, a foul smell hit me. almost made everyone throw up the food they just ate. Then I saw the center of the living room. A person is lying down. His body has already begun to rot. There are quite a few maggots growing. It seems like they have been dead for several days. The room is very messy. The man seemed to have fought with someone before he died. Finally, open your eyes and mouth wide. Died straight in his own living room. The police officer felt someone behind him as soon as he entered, who is standing there, looking back. A Qing Dynasty official robe hung on the wall behind. Later, after the forensic examination, the man's true cause of death was cardiac arrest. I was scared to death, and there were no other fingerprints in the room. The police are still under his bed. Find a matching box. Inside are many cultural relics. The neighbors all said, "This man is actually a grave robber. Strip this official robe from the corpse. I originally wanted to make a fortune. Who knows that they have done too many deeds that harm their virtue?" Finally faced retribution. The owner of this official robe followed closely behind. Scared to death, a man catches a mysterious giant black fish. From then on, haunted by the ghostly woman, he could find no peace. Lai Zongping developed a particular fondness for fishing after his retirement. Often with my neighbor, Uncle Song, let's go fishing together in the wild river in the city. Fishing all day long, simply cannot get enough of it. On this day, Lai Zhongbing saw a fish in the river, a big black fish over a meter long. This fish is completely jet black, looks very sturdy. This really upset Lai Zhongbing. At this age, I've never seen a fish this big. If I reel this back in for him, it'll be dull. How delicious that must be! Lai Zhongbing wiped the tears from the corner of his mouth, called Uncle Song to the river bank. He was determined to reel in this fish. Two people squatted by the river for 3 days and nights. Just caught a few small fish. Even the gaps between the scattered buds aren't enough. His wife kept urging him to go home and water the public grain. This left Lai Zhongbing in deep distress. Just when Lai Zhongbing didn't know what to do, the fish float in the river stirred. The fishing float moved a few times. With a whoosh, it plunged into the water. At a glance, it's clear that a big fish has taken the bait. Indeed, after raising the fishing rod, it just felt unusually heavy over there. Lai Zhongbing used the tactic of watering the public grain. Finally caught that big black fish I've been dreaming of day and night. I caught it. Hurrying home, I urged my wife to cut this fish. Make sure to recover well. Lai Zhongbing's wife said, "This fish intestine is quite large and not easy to handle. Why not just release them?" Lai Zhongbing, however, does not care about this. Having made up her mind to eat fish, and even personally killed the fish, a lot of hextech was spilled. It was stewed into a creamy, delicious fish soup. Lai Zhongbing smelled the fragrance and said, "This is the flavor. I've been eating for so many years, and now I can't eat. It's hard for me." After putting a large piece of fish meat into his mouth, Lai Zhongbing's expression changed instantly. The fish smells delicious, but it tastes old and tough. There was a strong fishy odor. It's simply inedible. It's simply impossible to swallow. This left Lai Zhongbing completely devoid of appetite. I can only pour this big pot of high-tech fish soup into the trash can. After that, everything was peaceful. But by midnight, Lai Zhongbing was hit by a wave. The woman's sobbing woke me up. That voice floated softly. "It feels just like being at home." Lai Zhongbing sat up abruptly from the bed. Mysteriously, I found myself in my own kitchen. As soon as I walked in, Lai Zhongbing was stunned, frozen in place by the scene before him. On the garbage bin in the corner of the cupboard, A completely naked beauty is actually floating. The crying sound was coming from the woman's mouth, crying continuously. When the woman saw Lai Zongping frozen at the door, the tears in his eyes suddenly turned blood red. The fierce figure lunged at Lai Zongping, still screaming in his mouth for Lai Zongping to return his life. Lai Zongping was so scared that he collapsed onto the ground. I didn't dare to move at all. It wasn't until the next morning that the family discovered it. After that day, I fell seriously ill. After staying in the hospital for over 10 days, I finally returned home. Uncle Song came to visit him after returning. The two talked about this strange event. Uncle Song felt that this fish tasted both fishy and stinky when he heard this. Suddenly remember a saying from folklore. It is said that fish will eat the corpses that sink to the bottom of the river. Fish that eat dead bodies will grow big and fat. Not only that, if this person died unjustly, then the fish would smell extremely foul. Moreover, the vengeful spirit of the deceased will attach itself to the big fish, entangle those who consume fish and meat. Lai Zongping heard that he had eaten human flesh. A churn in my stomach again. The more I think about it, the more it seems true. Lai Zongping was also afraid of being haunted by vengeful spirits. So he called the local recovery team. A net was cast into the river. Sure enough, a skeleton was retrieved from that river. But those bones have been in the river for many years. The owner of this skeleton is indeed the victim of a murder. Lai Zongping also gave up his hobby of fishing from then on. The list was only because of a glance at the solitary ghost of the yellow bandit. The female ghost troubled him every night, insisting on marrying him. My name is Lai Zongping, and I've been a sharpshooter since childhood. Just entered university, curious about everything at school. The area around the new school is quite desolate, but the scenery is very humorous. Students from the school often gather on weekends to go for a spring outing. My 3 shooting buddies and I are no exception, even though I only spent a week with them. But relying on my ability to shoot cattle, we are already calling each other brothers. It was Saturday. We climbed the mountain path. The goal is the Buddhist temple at the mountain top. But when they reached halfway up the mountain, suddenly someone in front shouted, "It seems like they've discovered something extraordinary." We rushed over to take a look. There is a mound not far from the mountain path. As I got closer, I realized that the style of this tomb mound is not like the modern ones, and due to the passage of time, the inscription on the stone tablet has become quite blurred. I have been very interested in ancient architecture since I was young. I just glanced at this mound of grave a few times. Unknowingly, it seems a long time has passed. It wasn't until I was suddenly pushed by a head that I snapped back to reality from the brick column. But I noticed that several of my roommates were looking at me with a very strange and fearful expression. I felt very uncomfortable. After that day, they often gathered together to whisper. As soon as I get close, they will pretend that nothing happened. What's even stranger is that I have a habit of neatly arranging my slippers before going to bed. But that day, after returning from the mountain, my slippers are always crooked and misaligned. It still has dirt on it, as if pierced by water. Ask them to send the head. It just means that no one dares to touch my things. A few days passed again. I returned to the dormitory, but found that the 3 of them were packing their luggage. Only by asking did I realize that they all applied to leave through the drug route. Ask about the reasons for his complaint. They just stammer and brush me off. Suddenly, I was the only one left in the entire dorm. That afternoon at 2 o'clock, I was lying in bed reading a novel. I originally planned to read just 2 pages before going to play ball. I had just flicked through 2 pages in a daze. The dormitory door was pushed open. The dormitory supervisor urged me to go down for dinner. I looked at the clock and it was already 5:30. But I've only turned 2 pages. How did it become evening so quickly? All these strange events leave me utterly bewildered. Moreover, the Song people suddenly shrank back collectively. The root of my illness must be within me. So I made up my mind, deliberately kidnapped Song Ren's head. I want to ask what they all know. Under my repeated threats, Song Ren too finally revealed the truth to me. It turns out that day the three of us went hiking. I stood in front of the grave, rolling my eyes for a long time. The Song people kept calling me. I seemed to not hear anything either. This is not over yet. Later, I held the orchid branch, sang the lyrics of Peking opera. Until they pushed me forcefully for a long time, I just woke up. But I completely don't remember these. Not only that, after coming back from the mountain, I started to sleepwalk. Circling in the washroom, still use your head to smash against the wall. While crashing, he shouted, "You deserve to die, you deserve to die." Song Ren and his group gathered together. I guess I am the owner of that grave mound on the mountain. The session bird, for self-preservation. They just moved out of the dorm together. After listening to Song Ren Tu's narration, I was so angry that I punched him hard. I usually treat them like good brothers. Wearing stockings together, there are scammers watching together. In the end, everyone fled when disaster struck. You didn't even give me a hint. But this is not something I can solve. So I could only bite the bullet. I called that irresponsible dad of mine. When my father heard about this, they started off by giving me a scolding. I'm not afraid of getting styes either. Even the nameless grave dares to stare back. Criticism is fine. My father rushed to the school overnight. Under my guidance, we arrived at that nameless grave again. When we arrived at the grave, my father took out from the box, take out a large copper basin, burning incense money in front of the tombstone, muttering while burning my mouth, "I hope the grave owner can spare me." But who knew that the copper basin suddenly began to shake out of nowhere? It also emitted a buzzing sound. The flames surged several times higher. My father knows. The grave owner won't let me go. So he let out harsh words. I said I know a few new yin-yang gods. If we invite them over, I'm afraid the tomb will scatter the souls. Say it directly. The buzzing of the copper basin gradually became softer. It seems I agreed to no longer entangle myself. My father let out a breath, burn the remaining paper money, then pour the ash into a plastic bag. He took me down the mountain. My father didn't say a word the entire way, but I looked at his back. It's already wet in one area. After that day, my life returned to normal, although it's known that schools are often built on graveyards. Such a strange thing. This is my first time seeing it. I also encountered unfamiliar graves. Never stare at it. Be careful, they come after you. A small broken bell that escaped from a puddle. It is the hidden soul bell that can control the white ghost. From then on, I married a beautiful and wealthy woman. Reaching the peak of life, my name is Zongping. A pair of tattered twins escaped from a street stall a few days ago. The bell was engraved with mysterious charms. Just a glance, I was deeply captivated by the pair of bells. But the boss offered a bonus of 500 days. They say this bell is an old artifact from the palace. It has been blessed by the master. It was originally hanging by Empress Dowager Cixie's bedside. As long as Empress Dowager Cixie doesn't hear the sound of this bell for a day, will lead to insomnia. I listened to my boss bragging. Nothing has changed. Just want to laugh. Hastily offered her a price of 50 yuan. Who knew the boss would happily agree? I gritted my teeth and paid for the bell. Listen carefully for a moment. The more I watch, the more I like it. And I also feel it seems like there is a secret hidden in this bell, waiting for me to begin. So I made a new bracelet with the bell. I plan to take it with me every day from now on. Turn your luck around for yourself. I never expected that since I put it on, my peach blossom luck is really starting to flourish. The female colleagues at the company, they are all interested in the bell in my hand. As time went on, I also met the stunning beauty Jin Lion at the company. But good luck didn't last long. Strange things started to happen just as I was taking Zion to the bathroom. Due to boredom, I fiddled with the copper bell while squatting. The sound of ringing bells, a clear sound in the bathroom at the right moment. When I heard it, I almost blurted it out. At that moment, I suddenly had a feeling. Outside the restroom where I am, it seems like someone is standing there. This sense of oppression makes me very uneasy. I hurried back. Faintly, I could see a dark shadow outside the door. The dark figure continued to move slowly toward me. I didn't have time to enjoy the pleasure of taking a dump first. He hurriedly pulled up his pants. I carefully opened the door to the compartment, but did not see anything terrifying. The bathroom is empty and silent. It turns out I'm all alone. I calmed my excited heart, doubting whether it's been recent. Seeing too many beautiful women can lead to illusions. Just as I was about to wash my hands and go out, in the mirror, a menacing shadow appeared. The shadow quickly moved towards me. It was about to sneak up behind me. I screamed, an instinctive turn, and leaned back, but there was nothing behind me. From this day on, I always feel like something is following me. Sometimes it's just one person. Sometimes it's a group of people. Especially in the pitch black night, this feeling is the clearest. By a stroke of luck, I finally understand. Strange things have been happening to me lately. The cause is this pair of broken bells. Uncle Song, known as the dragon of the village, is a prominent figure. As soon as they saw the bell on my wrist, her expression changed 3 times. They eagerly asked me where these copper bells came from. After I told him the truth, again took my bell. After examining it carefully for half a day, Uncle Song not only officiates at funerals, there are still some mysterious and spooky matters, is also quite skilled. Uncle Song thought for a moment. He said to me with a furrowed brow, "How dare you? How could you wear something like this on your wrist? This is the hidden soul bell. It is an object specifically for the dead. In the past, medical conditions were underdeveloped. Many people are just in a state of suspended animation, but would be buried as if truly dead, waking up after being buried, only to find myself trapped in a coffin, then suffocated to death. This bell is meant to prevent such things. If someone wakes up in a coffin, as long as you shake the copper bell in your hand, those outside can hear it. It is said that this kind of bell, there is another usage. Just after a person dies, entering the underworld, you must hand this bell to the guiding He and Bai Wuchang. The Yin Chai will hang a bell on their waist. The sound of jingling rings as they walk, guiding the souls to the path of the underworld. Now you hang the bell on your hand. Many lonely souls and wild ghosts are following you. They caused a huge commotion. Your vital energy simply can't be suppressed. Over time, you can see strange things. You will still be used as a scapegoat by them. By then, it might be too late for regrets." When I heard Uncle Song say this, Their expressions changed 3 times. No wonder I always see those strange things. I still feel like there are a lot of people following me from behind. So it turns out it was all those, the tragic souls of the dead who cannot reincarnate. Later, Uncle Song is leaving with those bells. They say this thing he has is quite useful. Since parting with these broken bells, I have never seen anything so terrifying again. Life has also gotten back on track. It's just a pity about my peach blossom moons. And with the bell it was gone forever. A woman marries a dead man for a proud dowry. After 6 months of marriage, my belly is getting bigger. It turns out it was the father-in-law's doing. Jin Lion, who lives in a rural area of Jiangxi. There is an older brother above. But because the family was truly poor, at 40 years old, I still haven't found a wife. Just because of the exorbitant betrothal fee, mother actually wants Jin Lion to marry the son of the local rich man. All right, let's raise money for my brother to get married. Although Jin Lion was unwilling, under her mother's repeated persuasion, I can only obediently marry the deceased Lai Zongping. Lai Zongping has been frail and sickly since childhood. The fortune teller in the village also said he wouldn't live past 20. Although later I followed an old monk for training, but I haven't lived many more years. After Lai Zongping celebrated his 25th birthday, his physical condition declined rapidly. Not long after, he passed away. Before this, my only wish was to marry a wife. Lai Zhongping's parents shared a dream with their son. They offered a high price to marry Jin Lion and their son. The day Jin Lian got married was Lai Zhongping's wedding day. He wore a black and red wedding gown, bowed to the heavens and earth with the coffin. The whole scene is as eerie as it can get. Jin Lion initially thought that after worshipping heaven and earth, this matter is settled. I never expected that. Just as she took off her wedding dress and went to sleep, suddenly he felt a pair of hands touching him. Jin Lion opened her eyes. He saw a figure sitting by his bed. In the darkness, I felt this person was very familiar, but I just can't remember. The shadow said, "I am Jin Lion's husband, Lai Zhongping. Tonight is the night to consummate with him." This frightened Jin Lion half to death. "Lai Zhongping has already died, hasn't he?" A shadow across the way, however, paid no attention to this. While smiling and singing to Jin Lion, he said, "She is indeed a beautiful young lady. Let me take good care of you." Jin Lion had never seen such a scene before, fainted directly from fear. The next morning, Jin Lion woke up. I felt like my body was falling apart. It feels like I've been tossed around all night. Jin Lion felt that someone must be impersonating Lai Zhongping. Who is this person after all? Seeing my father-in-law's eager expression, Jin Lion felt that it must have been the elder. But without evidence, it's hard to say anything. Fortunately, no one ever came again. Tonight, I will sneak into the widow's house. Qi Jinlian's belly, however, was growing bigger and bigger. The in-laws looked at Jin Lion's big belly, did not show any dissatisfaction. Instead, they serve her even more diligently. Originally, Jin Lion also planned to get involved in this matter. One night, she went out for a walk. She heard shocking news. The 2 widows in the village said, Lai Zhongping's family learned a method from somewhere, but Jin Lion is pregnant with an evil spirit. When Jin Lion heard this, thinking back to that night, you can scare yourself half to death. Could it be that there's really a ghost fetus in my belly? Thinking about the monster in my belly, Jin Lion felt a tingling sensation all over her body. She returned home in a daze, fell asleep in a daze. It was midnight. Jin Lion was awakened by a cold, sinister wind. Only after sitting down did I realize it turns out to be the ghost of Lai Zhongping from that night. She approached Jin Lion, said with a kind expression, "You don't need to be afraid. I just want to use the child inside you. It's just reincarnation. It won't harm you." Just when Lai Zhongping was spinning his tall tales, the door was suddenly kicked open. Lai Zhongping took a look. The person immediately panicked. "It's no one else who has come in. It was the old monk who taught Lai Zhongping the ways of Tao. It turns out that Lai Zhongping, unable to endure the suffering of learning the way, I wish I could survive on my own. So using a scheme to lure out the method of reincarnation through a ghostly fetus, then sneak back home, setting up such a trap for my parents. Once Jin Lion gives birth to the ghost baby, she can be reincarnated, and Jin Lion would be drained of her blood and flesh by the ghostly fetus, completely disappear from the human world." The old monk saw that Lai Zhongping showed no intention of remorse. The void canvas swung towards Lai Zhongping. Lai Zhongping could no longer move. Looking at myself again, 4 little ghosts appeared out of nowhere. Gnawing madly at oneself, after resolving the issue with Lai Zhongping, the old monk took out another talisman. After finishing the conversation, "You must have Jin Lion drink it in the water. It's miraculous." As the old monk adjusted the angle of his fingers, the water in the bowl surprisingly extinguished the fire. Jin Lion drank it down. I felt dizzy and passed out, and Jin Lion's lower body was slowly flowing with black liquid. It seems the ghost child was successfully aborted. At this moment, the old monk looked at Lai Zhongping again. His ghost has become formless. It was about to disappear. While the old monk was trying to understand Lai Zhongping's mother suddenly appeared from nowhere. A hand ripped off the talisman from Lai Zhongping's forehead. By the time the old monk reacted, Lai Zhongping has turned into a gust of wind and escaped. The old monk looked at Lai Zhongping's mother. He shook his head helplessly and said, "You are committing a sin. In the future, you'll have to bear the consequences of your own actions." Lai Zhongping's parents had already cried their eyes out. They also know that indulging their son is wrong. I truly feel sorry for my son. The next day, Lai Zhongping's parents moved away. From that day on, no one ever saw them again. Anzi's secret meeting at the ancient tomb with the lady. A second mark unexpectedly appeared on my body. Lai Zhongping is a notorious gambler in the village. Usually, it's not a night for meeting a widow. It's just doing some petty theft. But he has been much quieter these days. I heard the village doctor, Song Rentu, say Lai Zhongping developed a strange illness. A fist-sized lump unexpectedly appeared on his shoulder. The pain and itchiness made him extremely uncomfortable. Song Rentu took a look at that moment. I knew this was not simple. Lai Zhongping must have done something unethical. Just contracted this disease. But Lai Zhongping said happily, "Just take some anti-inflammatory medicine. In the evening, he has delightful matters." Lai Zhongping hurriedly took the medicine and left. By the next afternoon, village doctor Song Rentu is treating a patient. Lai Zhongping burst into the room with great enthusiasm. At this moment, he no longer had the smug look from yesterday. He was drenched in sweat, hand covering the shoulder, entering the house trembling. As soon as I saw Song Rentu, I blurted out, "I took it back yesterday. Not only is it useless, that dumpling is getting bigger and bigger. Now it is swollen to the size of 2 fists." Song Ren immediately ordered him to take off his clothes. I want to see what this steamed bun has turned into. But upon closer inspection, Song Ren couldn't help but gasp. In just 1 day's time, this steamed bun is twice as big. You can even faintly see the outline of a face on it. and looking at the appearance of the steamed buns. It seems very similar to Lai Zongping. Song Ren has seen this strange illness before. Honestly admit I can't cure it. Let Lai Zongping go to the big hospital for a check-up. But Lai Zongping took out a large stack of cash from his pocket and said, "I'm not going to the hospital. I have a lot of money. I have as much as you need." Song Rentu saw these brand new 100 yuan bills. Doubt arose. Lai Zhongping is someone who usually doesn't even have money to buy cigarettes or alcohol. So this money must have an unknown origin. I cannot cut it off myself. So he quickly rejected Lai Zhongping. Lai Zhongping found that his money was not effective. He didn't want to say much to Song Rentu either, put on the clothes and left. But by midnight, the door of Song Rentu's house was knocked again, crying out for help, begging to send someone to their death. "You must save him. Cut off the face on his shoulder." At this moment, Lai Zhongping could only honestly confess the wrongdoings he had committed. It turns out that a few days ago, I heard others say that there is a stream in the back mountain of the village. Inside, there are countless gold, silver, and jewels. The deceased is a beautiful woman in the prime of her youth. Lai Zhongping then had ulterior motives. That night I took the iron wire and went up the mountain, digging east and digging west. He really dug up some big blue bricks. This kind of blue brick was only used by the old landlords in the past. Lai Zhongping quickly dug open the bricks. He took a look inside. Inside, there are some jars placed around, aged around 70 to 80 years. There are still some boxes. The coffin had long rotted and shattered into pieces on the ground. Lai Zhongping held the flashlight, cautiously crawled into the tomb. When I saw the person lying in the coffin, Lai Zhongping was suddenly flustered. The tomb owner has a fresh jade hand. A green bracelet was still worn on the wrist. "This bracelet is clearly worth a lot." Lai Zhongping immediately pounced and grabbed that hand. It is both green and iron. After removing the bracelet, Lai Zhongping had his eyes set on the ladies again. The poor lady has been lying underground for so many years. Can't escape from the pervert Lai Zhongping. Just as Lai Zhongping pulled up his pants, cheerfully preparing to climb out of the ancient tomb, suddenly I felt as if someone was standing behind me. Then the lady held the fresh jade hand, directly resting on Lai Zhongping's shoulder. Suddenly I grabbed, leaving behind a claw mark glowing with a bluish light. Lai Zhongping was disturbed by this commotion. Who would dare to stay in the ancient tomb? Rolling and crawling, he finally exited the ancient tomb. In just 2 days, the wound on the shoulder began to swell, transformed into a human face. After hearing the whole story, I truly deserve this. Can be a doctor. He still chose to go find someone to rescue Lai Zhongping. Song Ren rushed to go by village overnight. I found a famous fortune teller. 2 or 3 hours passed in a back and forth, arriving at Lai Zhongping's house. The sky is already brightening. Song Ren knocked on the door several times. Lai Zhongping did not respond either. I only realized it when I pushed with my hand. Wen didn't care at all. Not yet inside the house. The two of them suddenly smelled a strong scent of blood. As soon as the door was pushed open, the floor is covered in blood. Lai Zhongping lay in a pool of blood. Long forgotten, he actually used a knife, sharpened pointed face, cut down alive. The faces on the ground are more complete than before. Still carrying a strange smile, Sanzi found the woman's figure to be more voluptuous than his own. She unexpectedly sought out Bao Gong to be her benefactor. 18-year-old Lai Zhongping, the first time stepping onto Guangdong, I was deeply attracted by the prosperity of this city. He felt that this place was simply paradise. I also feel that I was born to belong in this big city. I will definitely stand out here, take root and sprout. But ideals are often unrealistic. Reality is harsh. Lai Zongping, who didn't even finish elementary school, only allowed to enter to tighten screws, unable to endure the relentless exploitation of the factory, nor did I do it like others. Find many girlfriends. Lai Zhongbing in a daze, ran to the construction site to do odd jobs again. But in the end, the salary received was quite meager, can only cover personal daily expenses. Looking at the wealthy people around me, everyone is hugging the hot-tech beauties. Looking at my exhausting work every day, the money earned is not enough for someone to buy a single bag. Lai Zhongping felt an extreme imbalance within himself. He also dreamed of living a life where he could just ask others for money. Lai Zhongping set his sights on the construction contractor Song Rentu. Song Rentu is the wealthiest man that Lai Zhongping can connect with. Although he was over 50, be generous and change. There is still some hair loss. But Lai Zhongping, for his own ideals, they still had their sights set on Song Ren. He observed in secret for a long time. Song Rentu was living in a high-end community near the construction site. Lai Zhongping found a way to sneak into the community, hid in the corridor next to Song Ren's house, waiting for one's goal to appear. After waiting for a while, Song Ren too indeed appeared with a bag. Lai Zhongbing took the opportunity when he opened the door. He pushed Song Ren's head into the room. As soon as he entered the house, Lai Zhongbing revealed his true colors. He threatened Song Rentu with a knife, asked him to take off his pants. From then on, Song Rentu would support him financially. Unexpectedly, Song Rentu not only refused, still scolded him for being a pervert. Taking advantage of Lai Zhongbing's distraction, he picked up a red wine bottle from the Pearl. He swung at Lai Zhongbing's back of the head. Lai Zhongbing was angered by the scolding, seeing Song Rentu not loving himself at all. In a moment of anger, with a swing of the fruit knife in hand, just made a large cut on Song Ren's neck. In an instant, blood splattered everywhere. Song Ren's head also fell directly into the pool of blood. Lai Zhongbing realized he had gotten himself into trouble. You can only implement your own pressing plans. After robbing all the wealth of the Song Rentu family, I am preparing to undergo surgery in Thailand. After refreshing myself, returning to settle in the big city. But reality is often harsh. Reality is tough. Lai Zhongbing was wanted after he escaped. One can only hold on to their own dreams. Fleeing to a remote mountainous area, in the end, he landed at a black plum kiln, again doing hard labor here. A few years later, here. The owner of the May kiln was also Lai Zhongbing. The character of enduring hardship is appealing. They actually planned to introduce their disabled sister to Lai Zhongbing. Lai Zhongbing had long been softened by reality, let go of one's grand ideals. Now someone is actually introducing a daughter-in-law for themselves. Hurriedly fell to the ground on his knees, kneeling and crying. Very soon, Lai Zhongbing married Mei Leobin's sister. 2 years into marriage, they had a big chubby son. As the son slowly grows up, strange things began to happen. A thin red line unexpectedly appeared on my son's neck. Just wrapped around the neck, Lai Zhongbing thought of the gruesome fate of the beheaded. I know this is probably my own retribution coming, but no matter what, one cannot let their son pay for their sins. Lai Zhongbing consulted the fortune teller in the village, knowing that only by obtaining the forgiveness of the deceased's family, eliminated their grievances, only by resolving this red line. After careful consideration, Lai Zhongbing still turned himself in for his son. In the police station, Lai Zongping felt an unprecedented tranquility. In the end, Lai Zongping was sentenced to 5 years. During this time, the red line on the son's neck really began to fade slowly, finally disappeared without a trace. The woman chopped off her own arm, preparing delicious meat broth for my boyfriend, just to have some alone time with my boyfriend. Lai Zongping and Jin Lian started dating in college. Ranran and Tianxian get along quite well. Lai Zongping often privately complained to his friends. Jin Lian is indeed too clingy. I must make phone calls every morning, noon, and night. Report the itinerary to him. Not only that, but they always keep checking their phone. As long as there is a woman, there will be a big argument. They have been in love for many years. However, it was a natural progression to get married. Not long after the wedding, Jin Lian became pregnant. Resting at home during pregnancy. Since she became pregnant, Lai Zongping became even more extreme. By the end of the day, I have to make more than 10 calls. Always asking without end. All of this made Lai Zongping feel suffocated. He felt that he could no longer continue being monitored by Jin Lian. It won't be long until the temporary. So he took the opportunity through his work, simply stayed at the company and didn't go home. However, Lai Zongping's actions did not make him. Escaping from the deadly trap of Jin Lian's entanglement, Jin Lian became even more relentless. But by the night of the 4th day, Lai Zongping did not receive a call from Jin Lian. So he replayed it 4 or 5 times, but no one is answering on the other end. At this moment, Lai Zongping felt a bit flustered. Coincidentally, at that moment, his boss happened to assign him some work. Lai Zongping did not think any further. 2 more days passed, and the project finally ended. Lai Zongping has been waiting for so many days. I also want to go home and taste the food my wife makes, especially the bowl of meat soup made by Jin Lian. It's simply mesmerizing. Lai Zongping called Jin Lian in advance. Asked her to make more meat soup. In the evening, the two of them had dinner together. This phone call, Jin Lian did accept, but the voice sounds deep and melancholic. It felt like talking on speakerphone from hundreds of meters away. Lai Zongping didn't care about these things, only thinking about resting. After giving Jin Lian a few instructions, he hung up the phone. I took a taxi and rushed home. As soon as he walked through the door, I feel that the temperature inside the house is much colder than outside. I looked into the living room. The air conditioning is actually on at home. The face is truly extravagance. Feeling a bit displeased. At least Jin Lian's wish has come true. For the children in the journey, Lai Zongping still endured. He turned his face and saw his wife sitting at the dining table. A bowl of fragrant meat soup was placed in front of me. Seeing the meat soup, Lai Zongping's anger subsided by half. Hurriedly stepped forward with a cheerful smile to taste. Wang smelled the aroma. Saliva flowed down. Lai Zongping picked up the bowl, pouring the soup straight into his mouth. I originally thought it would be incredibly delicious, but when it reaches the mouth, it tastes surprisingly sour and astringent. The soup should be made like this. Lai Zongping probably won't take a second sip either. But today this soup seems to have some kind of magic. Makes you want a second bowl after finishing the first. Lai Zongping originally thought, let my wife serve me another bowl. Jin Lian sat quietly on the chair with her head down, not saying a word. So he had to get up and make the soup himself. A young man is cooking something on the kitchen gas stove, but the temperature is even colder than in the living room. Lai Zongping reached into the darkness and opened the pot lid. But what catches my eye, but it left him feeling dizzy, in the soup was actually a human hand. That hand looks very familiar. Lai Zhongping recalled the bowl he had just drunk from. A storm was brewing in my stomach. At that moment, he glanced towards the corner of the kitchen. There are actually quite a few blood stains on the ground. Following the trail of blood, this is when I realized, just a short distance away from the stove on the ground, a person is lying down, and this person is his wife, Jin Lion. At this moment, Jin Lion had lost one of her arms. The body has become stiff. Lai Zhongbing knew what might be boiling in the pot is Jin Lion's own hand. But isn't my wife sitting at the dining table? Lai Zhongbing looked at the ground and then at the dining table. I only feel my feet are weak. A wave of dizziness hit my mind. The person fainted completely. When waking up here, he has already arrived at the hospital. The two police officers beside. It was indeed the death of his wife. Before Jin Lion's death, she left behind a letter. It turns out that Jin Lion's childhood trauma. I have long been suffering from depression. Since becoming pregnant, the illness that had already healed suddenly erupted. It made Jin Lion unable to bear it. While Lai Zhongping was working overtime, Jin Lion could not suppress the voice within her heart. Finally swallowed the pills and committed suicide. It is inexplicable that which hand was cut off after Jin Lion's death. What is the truth after all? It cannot be verified. Lai Zhongping has already merged with Jin Lion. We can never be apart again. Finally became crazy, wandering the streets. Sunzi personally crafted a pair of glasses in one night. Just because the fool died seeking revenge, Lai Zhongping in his youth, he is the notorious trickster in the village. The two people and Song Ren were inseparable every day. In their village, there was also a beautiful fool named Jin Lion. I heard he was originally the landlord of the village. Unfortunately, the whole family fell ill later. Death for the dead, madness for the mad. Only Jin Lion remained. Now Jin Lion has grown into a very beautiful young woman. She has grown up to be a young lady. Lai Zhongping and Song Ren too had their sights set on this lonely, helpless fool. Prepare to take advantage of the time when no one is around. Drag Jin Lion into the small grove. Who knows that Jin Lion, although foolish, but I also know right from wrong. He resisted with all his might, and also gave Lai Zhongping a big smear on his face. Lai Zhongping became furious. A bundle of firewood pressed Jin Lion down onto the ground. As a result, a mouse mole. It pierced through Jin Lion's eye perfectly. Poor Jin Lion just accepted the legal status. Lai Zhongping and Song Ren too were also worried about the matter being exposed. I casually found a package at the back. Buried Jin Lion. Anyway, there's no longer a fool in the village. No one cared. But after this, Lai Zhongping and Song Ren too dreamt every day. A beautiful female ghost came to demand his life. The two people could no longer endure this torment. I went to find the chicken fairy from the neighboring village. The misdeeds committed by two people. I told him everything. The chicken fairy accepted the money with a guilty conscience. A wicked plan was devised for two people. He had Lai Zhongping dig out Jin Lian, even mockery, pressing another stone mill against the back. This will ensure that Jin Lion can never rise again. Lai Zhongping and Song Ren too. And so, peaceful days passed for several decades. But recently, there has been continuous heavy rain in the village. Unexpectedly, the bones of Jin Lion, and the millstone pressing down on him, charged out. Lai Zhongping has enjoyed many good years. Long forgotten the wrongdoings I committed. It was the day of his grandson's 8th birthday. The whole family is sadly sharing the cake. Lai Zhongping's grandson suddenly said he needed to pee. He opened the door and ran outside. The courtyard was pitch dark. A thick fog has risen again. Moreover, Lai Zhongping's grandson said, "I saw a figure at the gate of the yard." The figure looked like a woman. As everyone was confused, Lai Zhongping's grandson suddenly changed his expression. "I just wet my pants." Not only that, he kept one eye half closed, still rolling her eyes. Once inside the house, no one paid any attention. He picked up the fork as he approached the dining table, with a strong sweep towards Lai Zhongping's eyes. The fork directly pierced Lai Zhongping's eyeball. Lai Zhongping was rushed to the hospital overnight. The eye could not be saved. And his grandson was also diagnosed with intermittent psychosis. But Lai Zhongping knew, Sunzi is not sick, but came this year to seek revenge. So he went to find the fairy Jai Ziyingu from the neighboring village. Jixingu arrived at the Lai family. After preparing everything, they began the ritual. Kill the chicken, blood draw. Jumping the great god, the instrument is completed. After this operation, Lai Zhongping's grandson's expression became extremely pained. Black gas also floated out from the eyes. After a while, the whole person finally returned to normal. Keji Ziyingu started to behave a bit strangely. She stood upright in front of the altar. No one cares. Suddenly, Jai Ziyingu shook her head, exposing a pair of eyes rolling in disdain. Then he swung the magical tool in his hand. Suddenly it plunged into its own eyeball. This time it was truly powerful. Directly pierced through the brain's cortex. Jai Ziyingu immediately accepted the challenge. Now Lai Zhongping's support has collapsed. She knew she was doomed this time. In the following days, I just lay in bed every day. Water and rice cannot support each other. The wound on the eye continued to worsen, foul smelling and oozing. Because of the infection, I have suffered greatly. I wish I could dig out my own eyeballs. In the end, Lai Zhongping also received an amputation due to the wound festering. A few days after Lai Zhongping's death, sending someone's head gets discovered. Died in a muddy pit. His mouth was wide open. It seemed like they saw something terrifying before death. A mouse tail was also inserted in the eye. Danzy played poker with the long-haired ghost. Surprisingly, it has been 20 years since I last washed my hair. Every night, the bed would be covered with maggots. Lai Zhongping had a wish since he was a child, to be able to marry a beautiful woman with long, enchanting hair. For this dream, he swore, willing to go 20 years without washing my hair. But recently, Lai Zhongping's head itched terribly. Every time I wake up, the pillow will be filled with maggots. It is the hottest days of summer. Lai Zhongping had maggots falling from his head, still emitting a foul odor. This made Lai Zhongping's roommate, Jehu's extreme tastes are unbearable. So they hurriedly took him to the river bank. Planning to go on a wild adventure, the three of them arrived at the river bank. They stripped off their clothes and jumped into the water joyfully. The river water is very cool. Lai Zhongping also washed up very thoroughly. He unintentionally glanced at the bottom of the bridge pier. It seems there's a long-haired beauty swimming. The hair floated back and forth with the flow of the water. It looks very gentle, just a silhouette. Let Lai Zhongping feel fulfilled and content. His roommate also knew about Lai Zhongping's grand ambitions. Just encourage him to go over and flirt. At a crucial moment, Lai Zhongping. But the tsunami began to rise. I feel like neither I nor my friends are wearing clothes. Just recklessly passing by, afraid to scare this long-haired beauty. Moreover, Lai Zhongping felt that I have a special connection with this long-haired beauty. Maybe we will meet again. So I swam a few laps in the river with my roommate. Arriving back at the residence, as I was leaving, Zongping looked down at the bridge one last time with reluctance. Discover the long-haired beauty, still swimming under the bridge. The long hair made his heart flutter. Zongping was very much looking forward to tomorrow's meeting. The next day, it is still hot and soaring. Zongping and his roommate. After work, I couldn't wait to. I arrived at the riverside from yesterday, ready to cool off in the river again. The three of them went down to the river to have a look. The girl from yesterday. You actually arrived earlier than them. Still at the same spot as yesterday. Upon closer inspection, they sensed something was off. The girl's head seems to be floating lightly, drifting back and forth in the river. It feels as if there is no body at all. And why does she always swim within the same area? This feeling, an indescribable eeriness. Zongping felt uneasy in his heart. But we can't just ignore it. So I decided to go over and take a look. Is it that girls encountered difficulties? For example, the clothes were washed away by the water, afraid to go ashore, and so on. Perhaps I can still feast my eyes. Zongping swam over excitedly. He could only see the girl with her back to him. It seems a bit awkward. After calling him twice, his head surprisingly turned toward the water flow. This scared Zongping half to death, slipped on the ground, fell into the water, and drank several mouthfuls. Only the girl's head could be seen. Not knowing how long I had been soaking in the water, it's swollen up like a bun. Maggots kept crawling out of the eyes and mouth. Zongping still felt that he was tangled in clumps of hair, make it hard for him to breathe. This feeling made him very uncomfortable. I can't worry about anything else. Crawling and rolling, they finally made it to the shore. After reporting to the police, after being questioned by the police for a long time, I was finally allowed to go home. After returning home, Zongping and his roommate didn't eat, because just thinking about the maggots on that head and the few sips of wet water, my stomach churned. That night, Zongping slept very soundly. He dreamed of a long-haired beauty, riding a bicycle by the river. Suddenly, a dark figure sprang out from the bushes. This man strangled the long-haired beauty to death. They transported her corpse to a pond by the river. He carried the girl up to the pond. Here, it's like admiring the spoils of war. Stared at the girl's corpse for a long time. In the end, he picked up a large stone from the ground, as if there were deep-seated grudges. He struck the girl's neck fiercely with a stone, until her neck was smashed completely apart from her body, just using a torn bag to hold a head. Again at the bridge, he threw the person chasing the stone headfirst into the bottom of the bridge. The poor girl just kept soaking under the bridge, until Zongping woke up. Only then did I feel saved. It was so vague and confusing that he couldn't make sense of it. But he felt that this must be the girl trying to send him a dream. Perhaps the killer is the man from the dream. Zongping hurriedly took his roommate to the police station to report the incident. There are important clues. He took the police for a walk by the river. I indeed found the pond from my dreams. A few people just arrived at the pond. A strong, pungent smell of decay filled the air. Finally, the police are on the water tower. 2 bodies of young girls were found. All the heads were smashed and their whereabouts unknown. And this ruthless killer, to this day they have not been caught. The fool specializes in digging graves to steal others' wives and relatives. Still likes to dress the corpse in a red-made outfit, paint on red lips, play a heavy-taste poker game. Zongping has recently been having a strange dream. In his dream, his wife this year, wearing a bright red bridal gown, looks very angry. He angrily questioned Zongping Why do you want to harm him? He even gave him up to a fool. Every day suffers from weakness. When Lai Zhongping wanted to get to the bottom of it, this year will dissipate like smoke. I have been having this dream for several days. Lai Zhongping also had to take it seriously. He made a few calls to Jin Lion back home. No one responded on the other end. Lai Zhongping, who can't let go of his worries, rushed back home overnight. But when I got home, I found my wife. It has already been 7 days since she died. The husband is completely unaware. I heard from my family that Jin Lion was home alone, died from an accidental electric shock. When discovered, it has been 2 days since he died. I didn't have time to inform Lai Zhongping. The family held a banquet for Jin Lion. Cao Cao was hastily buried on the back mountain. But others say this. Lai Zhongping, however, did not believe it. On that day, Lai Zhongping was cleaning the yard. Get ready to pack up. Let's go to the back mountain to see Jin Lion's grave. A nephew from the family ran anxiously into the courtyard, shouting loudly in his mouth, "Uncle C, something's wrong. Your wife's grave has been dug up. My aunt's body has gone missing." Lai Zhongping shouted, "Oh no! Hurry to the cemetery on the back mountain." Upon arriving here, indeed, the corpse of one's own wife was already different. The coffin is empty. It seems that it was stolen long ago. The potatoes around the coffin have dried out. As soon as this news broke, the village was in an uproar. Some say that Lai Zhongping's wife must be a corpse exploder. Some people say Jin Lion crawled out of the coffin by herself. Rumors spread rapidly. There are various sayings, and they become more and more exaggerated as they spread. But Lai Zhongping knows Jin Lion's body must have been stolen for a marriage. Now I just don't know who did this wicked thing. Lai Zhongping at a loss. I searched everywhere but found no clues. Only with brothers can I borrow wine to drown my sorrows. The next day, the two went to the market together to buy things. They turned left and right. I saw a crowd gathered to watch the excitement. Only by leaning in closer did I realize it turns out a fool is buying wedding supplies. That face with snot bubbles is really funny. Everyone around said, "This fool has gone mad thinking about his wife. Only then will she buy the hairpin and cosmetics for the bride herself." Lai Zhongping took a careful look. Something felt off. A wedding dress hanging at this stall? It turns out to be exactly the same outfit his wife wore in his dreams. Lai Zhongping hurried over to ask the stall owner. Only then did I realize that the fool from earlier had. Coincidentally, I bought the exact same wedding outfit. Lai Zhongping hurriedly chased after the fool. 2 people followed the fool all the way. They arrived at a dilapidated courtyard in the neighboring village. It seems this is the fool's home. A big red double happiness character was still pasted on their door. It seems it was just put up a few days ago. Lai Zhongping thought to himself, nor would that girl marry him with her eyes blinded. There must be a Catwoman in here. So she quietly approached the window and peeked inside. At a glance, Lai Zhongping's heavenly insight could be completely overturned, only to see the fool lying on the kang, embracing a lady in a red bridal gown. That lady is Lai Zhongping's wife, Jin Lion. Poor Jin Lian's skin has started to rot on his originally handsome face. The fool randomly smeared red on 2 bags. She also put on red lipstick. I don't know what this fool has done to him. It's easy to guess that it probably isn't a good thing. Lai Zhongping kicked the door open in anger. Charging in means a good beating. Beat the fool until his face is bruised and swollen. Called the police again. But even the police can't impose any penalties. Lai Zhongping could only swallow his anger. the body of Jin Lion, ravaged beyond recognition, take it home and bury it properly. You must have heard it from the elders at home. No matter what, you can't tolerate the yellow weasel. I heard that the yellow weasel is most resentful. It is an animal that seeks revenge for grievances. Not only that, they will form cliques to take revenge. The hospital where Lai Zongping works, once, due to the rampant yellow weasels, Dolly rushed over, but later a mysterious fire broke out in the hospital. The patients in the hospital all say, "On the day of the fire, I saw many yellow weasels, with a burning branch in its mouth, running around setting fires in the hospital. It spread very strangely. From then on, the hospital established a rule: you just can't mess with the hospital's weasel." This also led to this hospital now. Everywhere you can see weasels running around, especially at night. A swarm of yellow weasels. Everyone come out to play. The eye still glimmered with a green light. It makes one feel greedy inside. Lai Zongping is in charge of the professional team in the security department. Strange occurrences abound in the hospital at night. Lai Zongping has seen a lot. Just let it slide. Pretend to be invisible. Just focus on taking them down in the control room. For a moment, all was peaceful. Good times don't last long. Lai Zongping was still fined by the security team captain, because on the platform of the intensive care unit on the third floor, found quite a few cigarette butts. This ward is filled with vegetative patients, or the patient who has fallen into a coma. It's absolutely impossible to get up and smoke. Moreover, the key to enter the platform is in the security room. No one can get in at all. Lai Zongping also felt very wronged. "I don't even know how to smoke. I was fined for no reason." Lai Zongping was naturally discontented. So during the night shift, it was no longer interrupted. Start staring intently at the surveillance monitor. It was around 1 or 2 in the morning. The door of the monitoring room suddenly swung open with the wind. Next, in the surveillance, a room on the third floor. A person walked out. This person walks as if they are stepping on cotton. It looks very strange. Lai Zongping knew it must be the good deeds of this person. He quickly grabbed the baton and rushed over. But upon arrival, I found that the platform is empty, with no one around. Only a few cigarette butts on the ground. It's clear that someone has been here. Just as Lai Zongping felt a chill behind him, realizing something was amiss, suddenly felt something brushed against my pant leg. Looking down, what a big weasel, drilling out from his pants. Lai Zongping was startled by the yellow weasel. They raised their batons, ready to strike. As soon as the yellow weasel saw Lai Zongping with the weapon, unable to run away, instead it came to a stop, staring at him with 2 bright green eyes. Lai Zongping felt uneasy under his gaze. The baton in hand unexpectedly froze in mid-air. No matter what is said, it won't fall. Until that yellow weasel. Having seen enough, he wore a smug expression. The tail swung proudly, ran away from Lai Zongping. He only felt his strength being drained away, collapsed onto the ground. The next day, Lai Zongping reported truthfully to the captain. But he just doesn't believe it. I think Lai Zongping is deceiving himself to avoid punishment. So I decided to go see for myself. Sure enough, it was midnight. Several people walking unsteadily appeared on the surveillance. Walking towards the platform, team and rushed toward the third floor platform in a frenzy. Upon arrival, I indeed saw 3 people are smoking by the railing. But as soon as those few people heard the noise, all in a mess. Thud, he fell to the ground. Lai Zongping ran over to take a look, instantly scared to the point of wetting my pants. 3 people are lying on the ground. One is a person in a vegetative state. The other two are people who just died today. Looking back once more, I saw on the roof behind a dense crowd of weasels stood there. All stared at a pair of glimmering green eyes, staring at them intently. This scene is as bizarre as it gets. Lai Zongping and his group did not dare to disturb them. Silently send those three people back to their original place. They silently kept this matter to themselves. Suddenly pregnant after one night. There are actually 8 children in the womb. Lai Zhongping, who lives in the northeast, works at a factory. Working as a mover, that night a new shipment arrived at the factory. Lai Zhongping and several colleagues just stay at the factory to work overtime and unload the goods. The goods have all been unloaded. It's already 2 in the morning. Lai Zhongping rode his bicycle in the dark, rushing home, but as he rode, he suddenly felt the bike dip down. It feels like someone has gotten into the back seat. Looking back, on the back seat of the bicycle, a woman with a pale face was sitting upright. She kept her head down and said nothing. Lai Zhongping thought, "This woman looks quite beautiful. Don't be just a factory worker." Fell for someone but felt too shy to say it. "So I waited here on purpose. It's good to flirt with yourself." Before he could ponder it further, the woman in the back seat spoke first. She said she is better this year. "Working in the factory, I got off work too late. The sky grew dark again, and I felt scared." So she wanted Lai Zhongping to cook for her. Lai Zhongping couldn't help but laugh. "It turned out to be just as I thought." He thought to himself, "In fact, the future is promising. That's why the little girl thinks about it so much." So he hummed a little tune, unhurriedly heading home this year. After riding for a while, a soft voice came from behind Lai Zhongping. "Thank you, big brother, I have arrived home." Lai Zhongping parked the car. "I just wanted to give a few reminders." Looking back, there was no one in the back seat. He was immersed in his beautiful dream. I thought it might be because it was dark and I couldn't see clearly. Without thinking much, I continued on my way home. After riding for a while, suddenly 3 men jumped out from the roadside. Lai Zhongping